I know I'm a bit of a fussy devil, and I'm not used to working on building sites and the mess they create, but this sort of thing does irritate me. They painted the ceiling here, and of course they haven't taken any precautions, and there's blooming spots of paint absolutely everywhere. Okay, we can scrape it off the glass easily enough, I would have thought, but if there's any on the plastic and someone tries to scrape it or cleans it with the wrong thing, we're going to end up with a scratched frame before we've started. And this sort of thing goes on and on, really. They don't worry about covering stuff when they're painting. I'm going to do all the walls. Partly because I want something to do, and partly because I'm quite capable of doing the walls even though they're quite high, and I think I'll do a better job, and I'll probably be more careful because the tiles will be down when the walls get painted. And I've seen houses where they've painted away and then they spent 3 days employing someone to clean the floor, and of course they never get it completely clean, especially the grouting. Once grout gets paint on it, it tends to be difficult to get off. Suntraya, I think, has been a bit enthusiastic to get this place finished because she's basically put her garden in place before we've even finished the building and put a lot of the stones down, which of course are just getting dirty as people chuck stuff on them. There's loads of stone areas with paint marks. Paint has been just dumped. Rubbish that's discoloured the stones. Buckets of stuff's been chucked down. White water or something that's discoloured the stones. So when everyone's gone, these will either need a good hose down or raking over and turning over so we can't see the mess. Look, there's concrete waste here. It's just so unnecessary, really. This area here is a disaster, really. Everything's sort of gone grey and light because they've been mixing concrete here and plaster and whatever else. So, a bit of a waste of time, really. Just adds to more work. These stones here are covered in paint spots, speckles of paint everywhere. Yeah, what can I say? I wasn't here, so what can I say? Just another example of why you need to be on site controlling things, really, if you're doing it yourself or you want to have a close involvement in checking stuff, because sometimes they can do things in the wrong order and it does impact the workload later on. Fine if you're employing a contractor on a fixed price contract, I guess, because you just tell him, well, this is a mess, sort it out. And he has to spend time and money doing it, but if you're doing things for yourself, you don't want to end up with that sort of aggravation, do you, really? There we go, look, there's a trail of paint here. Nice plants, but I'm not sure what they're supposed to be in. Yeah, well, I'm going to whisper this, but they will disappear. Not the plants, the planters. Yes, I'm afraid no one really cares about painting in Thailand. They're not really bothered about decorations and making things look really nice. Let's have a look up at this wall, at this here. There's paint on the seat, on the roof panels underneath. It just makes it look so untidy. There's paint on the roof panels up there somewhere. Paint on the wooden beams. It just means I'm going to be spending more time removing that somehow or other. I've banned any painting. I'm the one that does all the painting now. Take responsibility for it. Right, I've got the first pouring here, and I've just had a chat with him, and he tells me there's going to be, no, I think there are already 2 layers of steel in there. You can see there's quite a substantial piece of steel in that. That's one of the larger pieces. Larger than we had in our floor anyway. So he's formed an edge here with mortar and let that go off a little bit, and now he's filling the rest of this up with reinforced concrete. And this isn't the finished level, he's got another layer to do. I think what he's going to do is he's going to let this go off a bit and then put some more steel in. And it's going to go up to a mark that's on the wall there, and then it will be finished off with tiles up to the height of the red mark higher up. I've decided to start the extra bit of drainage project. Got quite a lot of standing water just there, so I think we need to get a pipe in there. So I've excavated this pipe that leads to the outside. I think that's going to need to be cut off slightly. I need to excavate this bit and work out what joints I need to go and buy, which I'll probably have to go and buy in Non Dinh Dang. Well, after some consideration, I've decided to go for a sort of semi-French drain. I've dug out a gradient either side of this pipe. This is going to be my first try, really. I'm going to cut that pipe down that's sticking up, and I'm going to surround it with some CPAC, not a very thick layer, just in case we have to break it up afterwards and start again. But the theory is that the water will run down this slope either side, any water that collects along this wall here, and then it will be directed straight into the pipe by the concrete. There'll be a cover on it, but it means the water won't be tempted to do what it's doing now, which is basically just fill up around the pipe and go nowhere. So we're going to have to wait for the hole to dry out before we proceed. And then what I will do is I will fill the trench with clean gravel, and the height of the gravel will go over this wall eventually anyway, so there'll be a good depth of gravel there, and I just hope that the soil doesn't get washed into the drain very quickly. So we're going to try that first, see how that goes. Right, let's go and have a look at progress. I've done a bit more drainage this morning. I've cut the pipe off so it's lower down. The area that you can see, which is blue coloured from the pipe dust, is going to be filled with concrete and shaped across the edge of the earth around there and on the other side, so that the water will run down the channel, which has got a good slope on it either side, and then it will go down that blue pipe more easily. So that's the plan there. If that doesn't work, I'll think of something else. I'll go a bit more sophisticated. Now, let's go see what the progress is here. So he's done the formwork for the second part of the kitchen. So you can see he's built up the edges here, and he's put this quite substantial steel frame inside, ready to be filled with concrete. And each of these goes into the wall to support it along that edge, which is very important because at this end you've got two walls supporting it, but down this way there really isn't anything until you get to this corner here, and there's nothing underneath around the edge here. But that's how they build them, and I've never seen a kitchen collapse in all the houses that I've been in, so I think we should be alright. But if I'm a bit nervous, I can always jam some blocks or something up inside in the corner there, or put some brackets in later. Anyway, it won't be taking a lot of weight, that's for sure. I'm not going to be climbing on it or putting anything heavy on it. So the next stage, I think, is for him to mix some concrete up, part of which I'll be stealing for my drainage. Oh, he's just telling me how he's just been very artistic. He's got a, that's a face. It looks like a snowman, actually.
Spider-Man.
Oh, it's Spider-Man, is it? That's Spider-Man in the middle of his web. Oh, very good, very good. What about this one? This one, obviously this artistic work will be buried once the tiles go on, but it's nice to know there's an artist behind him. Very good, very good. That's the last kitchen top done. Now he's turning his attention to fitting the tiles on this one here. Yes, they're going to look very nice, I think. Yeah, they're certainly using a very, very thick layer of adhesive, cement, whatever you call it. Can't help but feel they make life a little bit difficult for themselves by making it too thick. They're working to a certain height, of course, but instead of building the base higher, they always seem to leave 2 or 3 centimetres for the tiling. They'll get there in the end, I'm sure. It just means a little bit more materials being used, I think, in the way of glue, and a little bit more time. So he's notching it, but he isn't notching it down to the base, which is what I would expect if it was a thin layer. Right, we've just had quite a substantial rainfall. Unfortunately, it came before my little drain thing was totally dry, so I can see that a little bit of the concrete has been washed out of its position. But this is certainly working. we've got water coming out from the trench from below the stones that I've placed quite readily. So I'm very hopeful that this will be okay, and any sand that's being attracted to that hole is going to get washed down and not block it up, so fingers crossed.